Alright everybody, welcome back to Red Embrace. But Carrie, you say, shouldn't you be playing 2064 Read-Only Memories? Well, dear viewer, you would be right, but I wanna play this instead. So 2064 Read-Only Memories will be a tomorrow thing, I think, and we'll see where we go from there. I think we're in chapter 3 on that or something, so we'll see what happens. But for now, Red Embrace. Let's load up. So many saves. I need to start saving over things instead of just having like 50 different saves. Wait, there it is. Boom. I did it. I think we're gonna have a longer video today too. I think. We already read this part. We're just there. Dominic's discarded cigarettes. It's the only company we need, apparently, Dominic. The hum of dim fluorescent lights around me is all that disrupts the dead silence. Poor Sasuke. He's like, I don't know what to think. Dominic, I didn't do anything to deserve his help, but he's going to give it to me anyway. Normally I'd refuse since it's pretty stupid to rely on a creature who sees you as food. Yeah, but you're cute food. I feel like I made that joke the first time. But if I compare Dominic to vampires like Rex who act like wild animals, well, I'd be an idiot to refuse the help. And for some reason, I feel like I can trust him. It's the hoodie, isn't it? I don't know why, but there's something comforting about being with Dominic. It's like having a guardian wolf, almost. I told you, he's the puppy of this. He's the puppy of this group. Guardian wolf. Man, did I just walk out of some trashy fantasy book? He's like, I feel like I've seen this plot somewhere before. Muttering to myself dryly, I slip out of the warehouse, gripped by a growing fear. Rex is just there like, what up, bro? It's like, run away, Dominic, help. All the way back to my apartment, I keep an eye out for anything lurking in the shadows. The streets look the same as they always do, but now, I need a drink of coffee. That's right, wet my whistle with that black gold. They're starting to feel like a battleground instead of my home. Home sweet home. If only I could pretend all of this was a crazy fever dream. If only it was that easy. I end up tossing and turning in bed for what feels like ages until eventually, the exhaustion from tonight pulls me into a deep sleep. Ugh, I'm waking up again. Ugh, sun. Ugh, gross. Ugh. The early afternoon sun trickles into my apartment, fighting through storm clouds to arrive on my face. I push myself up with a yawn. I can't say I feel very refreshed. Sasuke's all sighs. I love it. Those events last night, the fight between Dominic and Rex. The vampires. I was hoping it would be a dream, but it sticks too vividly in my mind, like a bad taste that won't leave my mouth. By the way, how's everybody doing today? You know, with everything that's going on, I guess I should check in on you. Just ask how you're feeling, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally. Are you doing okay? You know, would you like to talk? You can talk to me in the comments. Or you can be like, hey, can I have your Facebook or your email address or whatever. If you're feeling like you need to talk to someone, you can always feel free to talk to me. But I feel like I could draw some amazing vampire shit right now. It would probably land me on the cover of a teen goth magazine, though. Still half asleep, I mumbled to myself as I put on the coffee machine. It's true. All this excitement's definitely inspired me a little, though I'm also too on edge to really channel it right now. Oh, then you gotta use that edge. Oh, use the angst. Dominic. His offer from last night still echoes in my ears. I can't believe he really wants to help me. Maybe it's just a bad prank and he's not going to show up tonight after all. That would make more sense anyway. I have a hard time believing a guy like him would just help me out of the kindness of his heart. But after yesterday, I really don't know what to believe anymore. I spend the rest of the day on a few commissions, my eyes glazing over a little as I color and shade in autopilot mode. In the last couple hours before work, I decide to draw the new picture filling my head, a looming shadowy figure in an alleyway. I make sure the light is focused on the figure's bare teeth, using the memory of Rex's fangs as reference. It turns out surprisingly well, almost too well. When I get ready to leave, the sight of the darkening sky outside makes me tense. I'd better hurry to the diner, I almost said dinner, before it gets too late and hope that Dominic keeps his word. I better hurry to the dinner. That's where Dominic's gonna eat me. I better run. Luckily, nothing happens on the way to my shift, and I flick on the diner's lights with a sigh of relief. I keep thinking there's gonna be like a vampire surprise party just waiting for Sasuke. This crap is doing a real number on my stress levels, I'll say. Muttering to myself, I switch the sign to open after a little bit of prep work, and the night finally begins. Yeah, I'll have just the fries. Yeah, I'm totally human. Coming right up. Just the normal drunk customers. Hey dude, can I get an ice cream frothy thing? You mean a milkshake? Yeah, dude, milkshake. That's totally what I meant. How'd you know? Sasuke's like, average high as a kite teenagers. Nothing out of the ordinary. Not yet. Occasionally, I glimpse a shape moving outside the diner's windows, although it's probably just a random passerby. For some reason, though, I have an uneasy feeling. It's like I'm being watched, and not in the comforting guardian angel way, either. Sigh, Sasuke. At last, my shift comes to an end, but there's no sign of Dominic. I want to head home soon, but I really don't feel safe going outside. If worse comes to worse, maybe I can just sleep in the diner overnight. Storage crates don't make great pillows, but they're better than coffins. You don't know that? Have you seen the inside of a coffin? It's very soft and pillowy. At that moment, the door swings open, and the sight of a new customer interrupts my thoughts. Hello, welcome to the... Dominic? Yeah, it's your boy. Sure enough, the tall and intimidating figure before me is the same one I spoke to last night. When he sees me shocked. When he sees my shocked reaction, however, Dominic's expression darkens somewhat. Why do you look so surprised? I told you I'd come. There's a very slight wounded hint in his voice, as if my lack of trust makes him unhappy. Sorry, I'm a bit too jaded to believe in knights in shining armor. Although I guess I could make an exception for knights in baggy jackets. See, I told you it was the hoodie. Now I feel guilty for doubting him, even though I think it was pretty justified, all things considered. Are you ready to go? I mean, I was born ready. I'm Sasuke. His eyes soften faintly after my apology, but there's still a tense look on his face. He's probably thinking about what'll happen if we get caught by other vampires. Well, he's not the only one who's worried. I'm ready. You want a cup of coffee or something before we leave? It's not exactly blood or anything, but... Geez, that sounded stupid. Should have just kept my mouth shut. I'm fine, thanks. Dominic gazes at me for a moment, the corners of his lips curling ever so slightly upwards. He's like, oh, he cares. He cares about me, Dominic. The most awkward of vampires. Then he turns toward the door, beckoning for me to follow. I'm sorry I can't read today. I apologize. After I grab my things, we head outside onto the dark street. It's pretty deserted this time of night, so the only people on the sidewalk are me and Dominic. He moves at a pretty fast clip, his eyes darting around us warily, flicking towards any kind of movement, whether it's a stray moth or a fluttering plastic bag. I can't help but notice how close he is to my side, too. Dominic, I can't walk. You're gonna push me off the... He just falls in the street. His arm brushes against mine every couple of seconds. A little embarrassed, I shift a couple inches away, but he ends up closing the gap again a few moments later. You're gonna fall off the sidewalk. Oh yeah, that thing where the cars are. That's right, you're right. At his amused comment, I realize I've drifted so close to the curb that I'm almost in the street. Sasuke's face like, fuck you. Maybe I want to get run over. Well, if I move any further to the right, I'll crash into his side. So, do you have any family around San Fran? Dominic's turned to sigh, but his is like a big sigh, like, yeah, I have family, but, I had to leave him behind. When I try to change the subject, Dominic shoots me a sharp look. Yeesh, did I stumble on a touchy topic? I didn't mean to pry. Sorry. I was just curious about what your life is like, considering you're East Coast. Yes, West Coast. That's where I'm from. He murmurs flatly, avoiding my gaze for a moment. They're out on the East Coast. They don't know where I am. He sounds guilty, as if he ran away without saying anything. Did he come out here to get away from his family then? Or maybe he was just trying to protect them, like he's trying to protect me now. It must be hard. You must miss them. I bet they're worried sick about you, if they don't already think you're dead. After a brief pause, Dominic nods. I can't help but think he looks terribly lonely, shadows grooving deeply into his tired features. I'm sorry, I can't really put myself in your shoes, but I know it must be hard. He offers me a faint smirk, although there's nothing happy about it. Don't see a point to self-pity. It's just how things are now. Good talk, Dominic. Dominic's eyes drift up to the light-polluted sky as we walk along, and I follow his gaze. There are no stars, just dark, moody clouds that look like billowing smoke. My brother's getting married soon. Oh? How'd you find out? Saw it in a newspaper. His broad shoulders slump a little, even though his voice remains steady. There's no way for you to go? Dominic shakes his head, tightly closing his eyes. I can't face them like this. He sounds so bitter that it makes my chest hurt a little. I have a feeling that he doesn't get any joy out of being a vampire. Whatever powers it must give, the costs are probably a lot worse. Maybe you could phone him? Send an anonymous note? Not the same as being there, though, is it? Damn. I frown, trying to think of some alternative for him, but I doubt anything replaces an in-person meeting. When I glance over to him, I notice Dominic watching me with a smile. Wasn't he just brooding a second ago? Did I say something stupid again? To my shock, Dominic reaches out with one of his large hands, suddenly ruffling my hair. His fingers tousle through the strands, mussing them up playfully. The touch of his hand is softer than I'd expect, and I can't even believe it's the same hand that was swiping punches at Rex last night. He pulls back before long, though, and I hurry to smooth out my messy hair. Where'd that come from? Geez, warn a guy first. Don't worry about it. Dominic shakes his head, and his smile fades soon afterwards. He really doesn't stay bright for long than a few seconds, does he? Like the sun flickering out between clouds. You're different. Huh? Here he goes again, saying stuff out of the blue. How am I supposed to keep up? Yesterday, Rex jumped you because you had a different scent. A different scent? What do you mean? Hesitating, Dominic averts his eyes to one side, narrowing them with uncertainty. It's something special. It makes your blood sweeter to us, but if you were turned, then... Dominic suddenly freezes. I stop beside him, glancing around in confusion. Then what? Dominic, what's going... Ah! I'm being pulled! He's too fast! His legs are longer than mine! Help! The next second, he grabs my hand and breaks into a sprint. Completely baffled, I run with him as fast as I can, and we dash into a nearby alley at top speed. Dominic, what the hell's going on? Behind us. Dominic's voice growls out urgently over the sound of our footsteps. Sasuke's like, what? When I throw a glance over my shoulder, there are several figures hurtling towards us, one of them on all fours. Is it Rex? Hey, where are you guys going? Come back. It is. A familiar sing-song voice calls out to us gleefully, echoing in the alleyway. Rex? Ignore them. My eyes go wide as I recognize the voice, but Dominic immediately grips my hand harder. Are you guys on a date? You didn't even invite me. Hey, Dom, don't be selfish. Rex's mocking words ring out behind us as we keep running, taking every twist and turn we can. I'm like little Sasuke. It's like, help. It's hard for me to keep up with Dominic, whose long legs and powerful body propel him forward with incredible speed. Why don't you just sack of potatoes me? Just throw me over your shoulder and just run, okay? Because you're gonna rip my shoulder out of my socket. You can't get away from me, baby. I can catch that scent from miles away. Come on, Dom, share him with us. You want to keep him for yourself, don't you? Greedy bastard. Laughter. Dominic's like, bitch. I'm like, keep running. Dominic grits his teeth together, his eyes flashing with visible anger. A cold sweat breaks out on my neck as Rex taunts us. Dominic. No, Dominic's different from them. He's not keeping me around for that. There's no way. Quick, inside. Inside what? This building! Loophole. Suddenly, Dominic shoves me through the side door of a building. I stumble through the darkness, but he pulls my hand to tug me further in. Where are we? Club music. Huh? Sasuke's like, I don't do clubs. I don't like all the people. The dimly lit space we emerge into is a club? Blend in. Oh yeah, totally. Like you're like 8 feet tall and I fucking look like I'm terrified. He leans down to hiss into my ear, brushing his lips against it so that I can hear his voice over the loud music. Yeah, we don't stick out. Look at our clothes. Well, Dominic maybe, but he's taller than everyone. Without missing a beat, Dominic guides me onto the dance floor, weaving through the throngs of people. Say that 5 times fast, please. Tell me if you succeeded. I glance worriedly over my shoulder to see if Rex and the others are following, but I can't make out anything in the dark. But when I turn back, I realize Dominic isn't pulling me along anymore. Instead, he's facing me and his blue eyes glimmer faintly in the flashing lights. Dominic, are we going to... Shh. And just like that, he starts to curl his arms around my waist, tugging me towards him. I'm like, what? Hug? Surprise hugs! My first reaction is to pull away, but I realize what he's doing after a few seconds. He wants to dance here so that the other vampires will lose our scent in the middle of all these people? Maybe? Perhaps? No, he just wants to be super duper close. They probably can't attack us in this place even if they do find us. I guess it's a pretty smart plan. No, Sasuke's like, holy shit. Although my cheeks start to flush a little from our sudden closeness, I hesitantly slide my arms around Dominic, grasping the fabric of his jacket. He's really tall. And have his eyes always been that blue? They're so clear that I can see myself in them. Almost. He's so cute. You have to dance, not just stare. He murmurs to me, his deep voice reverberating in my ears over the heavy bass. Oh yeah, sorry, just been a while since I did this, that's all. I awkwardly start to move a little with the music, avoiding Dominic's gaze. He's looking directly at his necklace. He's like, fuck. I feel like he's enjoying this a lot more than he should be, considering the situation. The club is so packed with people that it's practically a zoo, but after a while I don't notice him as much. I need another drink of coffee, so just admire the scenery. That's another thing that's great about Argent games. It's not just like their character like art, but it's the background. Always looks so good. It's like very unique. Everything's very unique in each environment. My heartbeat should be slowing down now that we've stopped running, yet it's still pounding a mile a minute. Dominic doesn't bother glancing around for the other vampires at all. Instead, he just watches me. His eyes seem to glow a little in the dark, gazing at my face with an unusually intense look. You're gonna make me self-conscious watching me like that. I hope you're staring because my hair's on point, not because I look like dinner. Dominic's like, I mean, can't it be both? My mutter is followed up by the music, but there's a chance Dominic heard me because his lips curl into a sly grin. The tips of his fangs glimmer faintly when they catch the light, simultaneously deadly and beautiful. Normally I hate clubs, but I'd be lying if I said that this wasn't sort of fun. There's a chance Rex and the others are inside watching us, but it's hard for me to think about that when Dominic squeezes my hips, pressing against me to the beat of the music. But really, how the hell did this turn out to be some kind of weird date? It really doesn't feel like we're just acting to throw off the vampires anymore. That or Dominic deserves an Oscar. Shit, I didn't intend for things to end up like this. You want a drink? What? Dominic casually leans in to murmur a question in my ear. No, I'm fine, thanks. Man, now it seriously feels like a date. An awkward, spontaneous date. Although judging from Dominic's smirk at my flustered response, his only goal with that question was to make me embarrassed. He's got a sadistic streak to balance out his generosity, alright. Do you want a drink? Oh, threw it back at you. Yeah, how about you? You want a drink? Now that you mention it, my eyes widen when Dominic actually nods, a teasing light flashing in his eyes. Wait, he must mean, no, seriously? I mean, if you really want to. Only if you're offering, though. I won't force you. He gently squeezes my waist, making me relax a little, but I still hesitate. Can I really trust him like this? Yes. Yes, you can. Look at that puppy dog face. We gotta go for the shock factor with this guy. Well, I'm a little curious about it, I'll admit. Just don't drain me dry, okay? That would be a shitty first date. Boom! Shock. For a split second, Dominic looks shocked, like he wasn't even expecting an answer. I know we've played through this before, but it's kind of adorable. But before I know it, he reaches out to grab me, tugging my body tightly against his chest. Sasuke's like, what was I expecting? Just relax. His hot whisper fills my ear, and as if he just flipped a switch, my anxiety starts to fade. It gets hard to think about anything other than Dominic, and even when I close my eyes and tilt my head back, all I can envision is his eager gaze. Something sharp starts to tease along my skin, dragging a line from my collar to the side of my neck. I feel his wet tongue flickering out against a certain spot, followed by the brush of his lips. Then he pauses and everything in the world seems to freeze for a moment. Sorry, I'm gonna do him overly dramatic, just because I can. A stabbing pain shoots through my body, making my eyes water and my stomach do an awful backflip. My first instinct is to try and shove Dominic away, but I force myself to stay calm. And then, bit by bit, the pain begins to sweeten. Dominic. As he holds me tightly in his arms, burying his face against my neck, I start to feel a little dizzy. My skin's growing hotter and hotter, and an unusual heat bubbles up at the base of my spine. Sweet. Yes, this place is pretty sweet. Oh, you mean my blood. That too. Somehow I manage to hear Dominic's low growl, but it feels like his voice is almost coming from inside my mind. The pounding bass fades far into the distance, as all I can hear and feel is Dominic, his fangs buried in me as he suckles hungrily at my flesh. I'm making this awkward for all of us. This is complete surrender. If he wanted to, he could drain me dry right now, and no one would notice. It's too dark and crowded. But I don't feel scared. My heart's pounding a mile a minute, but all I can think of is giving myself to him. More, 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 all the more. Wait, what? More awkward noises? When Dominic finally pulls back, licking a red drop off his upper lip, I struggle to catch my breath. He must have noticed my reaction, because he gives me a long, feral smirk and brushes his fingertips against my throat. It was hard to keep a hold of myself, here in this crowded room. Especially with you squirming against me like that. Can't have been that bad for you, huh? Listen. Shut the fuck up. That's the exact reaction. He's like, shit. Acute embarrassment makes my lightheadedness vanish, and I know my face has to be the same color as a cherry. Sorry if I was jerking around or anything. I hope you got enough. Not sure that's even possible. Sasuke's like, dude, you're too intense. As the last traces of that incredible sensation gradually fade away, I can't help but feel happy at Dominic's reaction. He pulls me into another dance, and I notice his eyes are burning brighter, his usual cool expression now warm and eager. Even his skin feels a little hot, like part of him's alive again, and there's something strangely bittersweet about that thought. We dance for what feels like hours afterwards, though at the same time it passes in the blink of an eye. When I start to get a little tired, I lean against Dominic's chest and a pleased smile briefly curls on his lips. Finally, just as it's getting close to dawn, we reluctantly separate and make our way to the exit. He's gotta go home because the sun is bright and hot. It's a fire star. It's still dark when we emerge on the street, although probably not for much longer. With the music now muffled by concrete walls, an awkward silence drifts between us. Let's go. Right. Shit, I entirely forgot that he was supposed to be taking me home. That was the whole point of meeting up, wasn't it? So, how did that just happen? It was a spontaneous, awkward date. You said so yourself. I bite my lip as we head down the sidewalk again, but Dominic seems completely at ease. This guy. I guess he's not even worried that the other vampires will come after us. Am I the weird one for being so flustered about everything? No, I would be like, what the fuck is going on? There's vampires, Rex is running on all fours like a dog. I mean, his name is Rex, whatever. We end up making it to my apartment building without any incident. When we reach the door, Dominic stops, so I come to a halt in front of him. Thanks. It's fine. With that casual response, he starts to turn away. Hey, wait. When I hastily call out to him, Dominic pauses to look back at me. Were you planning on coming back to the diner tomorrow night? You don't have to or anything, but... He tilts his head to one side, quirking an eyebrow slightly. I said I'd help you, didn't I? He sounds puzzled, as if that was only something natural. It probably sounds like I'm questioning his kindness, but after tonight's chase, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to keep his distance. I just wasn't sure how long you would... Never mind. My response trails off into an awkward mutter, and I avert my gaze, grimacing. As long as you need me. Toski's like, what? Oh my god. Dominic's words sound unusually gentle, so much that I look up at him in surprise. But he's already turning around again, starting to walk away with his hands shoved in his pockets. We're gonna need that hoodie. This time I just watch his tall figure gradually head into the distance, until finally he disappears around the corner. His parting words feel like a dream, and I almost have to wonder if I didn't mishear them. I'm getting another drink, y'all. I tell you guys that only in case you hear me slurping or something. And you're like, whoa, what is she doing? And I'm like, I'm drinking coffee because it's my life's blood. As long as you need me. Seriously, what a weird guy. I muttered to myself in disbelief while climbing the stairs and able to contain a smile. Unlike last night, a warm feeling bubbles in my chest when I reach my apartment. I don't understand Dominic at all, but deep down I can see that he has a good heart. It's the last thing I'd expect from someone who's supposed to be a blood-sucking monster. I guess you really can't judge a book by its cover, huh? No, it should be the opposite, because that's why books have covers. So you could be like, this looks cool. That's like the whole point of the cover. This time when I throw myself onto my bed, it doesn't take long for drowsiness to overtake me. As I slip into unconsciousness, the last image I see is Dominic's bright blue eyes glittering warmly in the dark, swallowing me in their endless depths. And so began my new bizarre routine. Every night, Dominic would show up at the diner right as I was getting ready to close. After our encounter with Rex, he was a lot more cautious. We'd take hidden alleyways and paths through abandoned buildings, a new mini-adventure each time. There were a couple of close calls, but we managed to avoid getting spotted by roaming vampires. Just barely. Neither of us ever speak about what happened in the club. It's not like our relationship is awkward, but every time I think about the way we danced, my face starts to feel hot. I know it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing, probably meaningless, but no matter how hard I try, I can't forget the look in his eyes back then. Wow, time to leave already? I must have really been spacing out. I just imagine that he spaces out to the point when he's drawing that it's all pictures of Dominic, and he's like, what the fuck? I was trying to draw an elephant. Today marks a week since Dominic, or Dom, as I've started calling him, first offered to escort me. But this time I've decided to man up and ask him if he wants to come up to my apartment tonight. Just for a drink and a chat or something. He's not very talkative, but I think he might enjoy the company, and I'd like to get to know him better. It's so easy to forget Dom's a vampire, but the sense of loneliness he carries reminds me of the cold, solitary life he's forced to live in the night. He stays away from his clan, and I can tell he misses his family more than anything. From what he's told me, I'm the only friend he has here. I want to help ease that loneliness for him, even if it's just a tiny bit. The streets are still slightly lively as I commute to work, compared to their usual abandoned state on my way home. Normally I'd keep my head down and be lost in thought during the walk to the diner, but I feel unusually bright today. Must be the adrenaline from my plan to invite Dom inside. I don't know why it's making me so nervous. When I take a turn down a side street, I see the shape of a familiar building not far off. Isn't that the abandoned warehouse where Dom went to smoke the other day? I wonder if he's there right now, or if that's where he stays before he comes to the diner. I hesitate, but my curiosity winds up being too strong, and I duck inside the warehouse on a whim. It's a bad idea. Downstairs, the dark, dirty interior greets me with the familiar hum of fluorescent lights. But it doesn't seem like Dom's here. There are a few fresh cigarette butts lying nearby, which means I might have just missed him. Oh well. Damn, why am I so disappointed? Oh, here comes the drama king. I'll get to see him tonight anyway, so it's not like it really matters that much. Looking for Dominic by chance? No, I was playing hide and seek with myself. Out of nowhere, a powerful voice resonates behind my ears. I hastily spin around, coming face to face with a towering man. He's in a finely made suit and he doesn't look like a thug. What's he doing in a place like this? I didn't even see him when I came in. Was he hiding? Yeah, do you know him? I do indeed. He's quite an interesting young man, although a little misguided. He slowly rubs a hand along one cheek, watching me with eyes that are a vivid, piercing shade of red. Wait, does that mean... Could this guy be... Oh, where are my manners? I entirely forgot to introduce myself. My name is Bishop. I am, to put it crassly, the leader of San Francisco's 2 clans. He bows his head to me a little, his tone polite and reserved. If he's the leader of both clans, that must mean he's the top vampire in the city. The very thought makes me want to dash out the room as fast as I can, but curiosity and fear keep me pinned in place. Ah, nice to meet you. I'm Sasuke. I guess you must have heard about me from Rex. Bishop slowly nods, narrowing his crimson eyes for a moment. Oh yes, he talked about you quite a bit, including all of your special qualities. Special qualities? Naturally. However, I didn't come here intending to discuss such things now. That can wait for another time. The real reason I wanted to speak to you, or Dominic, was a certain rumor that's been circulating about you two. Pausing for an extended moment, Bishop lets his gaze drift up and down my body, and I hold back the urge to shiver. He gives off a strong, oppressive aura, one that feels like black tendrils wrapping around and squeezing out my breath. You see, I don't allow my subordinates to engage in equal relationships with humans. It puts us all at great risk of being exposed, just from one tiny slip-up. A misplaced word here or there, and our veil of secrecy might be torn open. He gives me a wide, shark-like smile. Are you trying to say I shouldn't talk to him anymore? When my voice uncontrollably cracks with disappointment, Bishop laughs, although it doesn't make his expression look any kinder. Please, don't paint me out as such a villain. I have a different proposal in mind if you wish to hear me out. Bishop stops. He stops. Good. Bishop steps a little closer, and even though I want to move back, his crimson stare freezes me to the spot. You see, we're always looking for new, promising additions to San Francisco's coven. The vampires in Los Angeles, San Jose, and even Fresno, their numbers are steadily growing, and soon they might even pose a threat to us. He reaches out with a claw-like fingernail to point directly at my throat. I clench my teeth, doing my best not to show any signs of fear, and stare back into Bishop's unblinking eyes. From your scent, I can tell you're a Strix, a human with strong, receptive blood. My scent? Now that I think about it, both Rex and Dom said something like that. If you joined us, I would have no objections to your relationship with Dominic. In fact, I'd even encourage it. After all, he's a very lonely boy. Someone like you could keep him from acting out or causing us any further trouble. Bishop towers over me as he speaks, casting a long shadow that feels like it's swallowing me up. It's all too clear that he's giving me an ultimatum. Join us or forget about us. Otherwise, I'll be killed. What are your thoughts, my dear? I don't like being kept in suspense. Well, obviously, and just kick him in the nuts. Oh, we unlocked it. We're gonna do that one. Boom. I don't like being threatened. I never have. But refusing Bishop right now would be suicide. If I tell him what he wants to hear, he'll back off. Yes, I'd be willing to join you. Yet, as the words leave my lips, I have to wonder if there's not some truth to them. I don't want to leave Dom's side, but I don't want to risk getting him hurt either. Is this really the only way out? What a clever little thing you are. I hope your words come from the heart, though. I have to say, I quite dislike the falsely loyal. I think I can guess what happens to the poor bastards he thinks are falsely loyal. Do I have to decide right now? When I worriedly look up at Bishop, he smooths a hand through his jet black hair and offers me a shrug. I'll give you a day to think about it. Should you choose to reject my offer, however, I'm afraid I'll have to prohibit you from meeting Dominic. Through whatever means necessary. I'm gonna go make some steaks now. He's really not subtle about his threats, this guy. But there's not much I can do to argue, so I offer a hesitant nod in reply. If you really wanted me to join you, though, why didn't you bite me forcefully? I doubt I'd be a match for a vampire. My question causes Bishop's eyes to glint with a dangerous amused light. Turning an unwilling subject often leads to troublesome side effects, my dear. Death is often one such effect, among others. I'd rather not see someone as so promising wasted like that. You understand, I'm sure. I see. I grimace, unsure how I feel about being called a promising candidate for a vampire. It's a little comforting to know that they wouldn't turn me against my will, but an uneasy feeling still gnawing at my stomach. Excellent. I'm quite pleased that we settled the matter so efficiently. I'll see you tomorrow, then. Make sure you consider things carefully, as I'm sure neither of us want a disagreeable outcome. Bishop offers me a sweeping bow, then turns around with a flutter of his long, black, dramatic coat. He walks toward the stairs, but to my shock, the second he steps into the shadows, his form simply disappears, like the drama king he is. It must be some kind of power he has. The very thought sends unpleasant shivers down my spine. But think about it. If you had that power, getting to work would be so much easier. What a shady bastard. I unthinkingly mutter to myself, then freeze, praying he's not still lurking nearby. But there's no reply or angry vampire kiss, so I guess Bishop's gone. His presence was so incredibly icy that the whole warehouse felt a few degrees colder. Shit. What kind of awful situation have I gotten myself into? I don't want to give up my humanity, obviously, but I don't want to leave Dominic all alone, either. And I have a feeling that even if we tried to keep our meeting secret, Bishop would find out. How am I supposed to make a choice like this in a single day? It's easy. Have you seen that puppy dog face? After a little while, I warily leave the warehouse and head to the diner. For most of my shift, my head's in a daze. I have to ask customers to repeat themselves a few times, so I'm so distracted that I don't understand what they're trying to say. Bishop's offer weighs heavily on my mind, and my stomach is tied in an anxious knot, tightening every time I replay our conversation in my head. Finally, closing time arrives, and I let out a long, relieved sigh. As usual, Dom shows up at the door, coming to a stop a few feet in front of the counter. But this time he stares at me with a small frown, studying my face intently. Are you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Just kind of worn out. Long shift and everything. Dominic's like, I don't believe you. I'm a human lie detector. Well, a vampire lie detector. So I can smell it, hear it, see it. Every nuance. It's like, oh. Dominic doesn't look like he's buying my excuse, and he keeps watching me with a worried narrowing of his clear blue eyes. Either I must look really terrible, or he's incredibly perceptive, or maybe some mix of the two. Let's head out. The smell of grease is making me more nauseated than normal. Are you pregnant? No, Dom. I'm a boy. Oh. That's right. No. I'm sorry. Dom's not that stupid. I need another drink. We leave the diner and start walking towards my apartment, completely alone on the deserted street. There's an unusually tense silence between us. I'd gotten used to Dom's quietness and normally kept up the conversation myself, but not today. I should say something about Bishop, but I just can't force any words out right now. It's like there's a lump in my throat. Dominic can feel the awkwardness. He's like, did I do something wrong? I don't know. Only the sound of our footsteps on the pavement echoes around us. Dominic must sense something's wrong, because he avoids my eyes and walks further away from me than normal. It doesn't seem like there's any vampires hunting us today either. I almost wish they'd start up a chase just to break this awkwardness. We make it to my apartment before long, neither of us speaking a single word on the way there. Finally, when we arrive at the door, I pause and take in a deep breath. Hey, Dom, you want to come inside for a bit? He's like, I thought you were mad at me. He blinks at me in astonishment, like I just asked him to wear a tiara and have a tea party with me. What's with that look? When was the last time you hung out with someone anyway? Come upstairs and have a smoke or something. You're a pretty cool guy, vampire or no. And well, if you've dealt with my company this long, a little more can't hurt, right? Dom hesitates, his eyes dropping from my face to stare at the ground for a long few moments. But finally he raises his head and nods, and I can't help but grin in relief. Come on then, let's not hang outside until the sun comes up, yeah? Yeah. He's like, I thought you were mad at me. With Dom trailing at my heels, I head up to my apartment and my heart starts to beat faster and faster. God, it's really happening. I actually invited him inside. I hope he doesn't think I'm acting weird or anything. I mean, this is a natural thing for friends to do, right? He's like, I mean, you know, I don't just want to be friends, but don't let him know that. Damn it, who am I kidding? I obviously like him as more than a friend, a lot more. You need a vacuum. I say that before. Clean. Well, this is it. Not Buckingham Palace or anything, but hey, it's home. I nervously chuckle after leading Dom inside, watching him while his eyes dart around my apartment. I like it. A faint smile curls on his lips, lightening the shadow that's been there all night. Oh, really? I mean, thanks. Needs some serious spring cleaning, though. Yes. As I scratch the back of my neck, uncertain of what to do next, Dom lowers himself onto the edge of my bed. I mean, my house is kind of messy, too, so I got 2 kids, and being stuck inside is just... I feel like doing velociraptor screeches. The mattress springs creak a little under his weight, but he doesn't seem to notice. So, how about a drink? I've got some wine in the fridge, a couple cans of beer, too. You drink that cup of coffee, so alcohol's good too, right? Dom shakes his head at my offer. Instead, he just motions for me to come closer, beckoning with one hand. Sit down. Yes, sir. Swallowing, I step closer to him, not exactly sure if I should sit on the bed or pull up my office chair. Did he mean sit beside him, or... On my lap, idiot. Hey. Wait, what? You mean... If you don't hurry up, the sun's gonna rise. He's gotten very saucy. After Dom's coaxing words, I finally end up settling in his lap, squirming a bit. It's not like I'm new to this kind of thing, but I can't calm myself down. Why are you so nervous? In your lap. Dom asked me in a curious low voice, and a blush instantly rises to my face. He noticed. Damn it. You're pretty bad at hiding how you feel. I think my 3rd grade textbooks were harder to read. Now you're just being mean for no reason. Maybe I wasn't trying to hide it. Sorry. When I mumble an indignant reply, Dom just snickers, tightening his arms around me. The gentle but firm way he hugs my body against him is oddly comforting, and I find myself relaxing before I even know it. I guess he shares my feelings, at least a little bit. The thought makes a happy warmth flood through my chest. Can I ask you a question, Dom? How did you turn into a vampire? He's like, that's a weird conversation. He goes silent for a moment. I feel him squeeze the fabric of my jacket, with fingers that tremble ever so slightly. I got bitten 10 years ago against my will, wrong place at the wrong time. He speaks with a resigned calmness, not the bitter tone I was expecting. 10 years ago. He's been living like this for 10 years? Once I realized what I was, a monster, I cut myself off from everyone, everything. I hoped I'd just disappear, swallowed up by the shadows one night, and everyone would forget about me. The vampires here forced me into a clan, but it's all a joke. Creatures like us shouldn't even exist. There's no pride in what we are. I was tired, Sasuke. I came to your diner that night because I wanted to pretend I was human one last time. Rex was nearby waiting to ambush me, and so... I was planning to let him tear me apart after I left. I thought I'd revisit an old favorite spot, have my first cup of coffee in 10 years, and then head out for a final night. Dom. But when you treated me just like a regular customer, like a man rather than a monster, and after you didn't mention me to Luca as if you were trying to protect me, I guess I thought it'd be worth sticking around a little longer, just to see what you might get up to. My eyes burn and a lump forms in my throat. If I hadn't, Dom could have... Shh, it doesn't matter anymore, Sasuke. It's alright. He strokes a hand through my hair with a tenderness that makes my held-back emotion almost burst free. But I manage to swallow it back, and once I give Dom a little nod, he smiles at me reassuringly. I don't understand his strength. He's been living in solitude all this time, part of a world he doesn't belong in, and yet he's still so gentle, so kind. If I had known all this back at the diner, how would things have been different? Sasuke, something happened to you today, didn't it? He tilts my chin up so that our gazes meet, and his sky-blue eyes gaze into mine with a look of concern. Yeah, earlier this evening, I met Bishop. Dom's face immediately darkens when I mention Bishop's name. I'm guessing he isn't too fond of him, and I can see why. What did he say to you? His voice grows urgent, rising slightly with suspicion. He said that I shouldn't meet with you anymore, unless I join the coven. Dom's fingers curl more tightly into the fabric of my jacket. He watches me with an intense, unwavering stare, as if he's trying to search the contents of my soul. Unsure of those contents myself, I gaze back into his eyes, glimpsing my own reflection. Is that what you want? His earnest question makes me pause. The truth is I don't really know. And I don't know if I'm brave enough to accept the new life, hiding away from the sun forever. I'll take the risk. Because we did this one before, so let's do I'll take the risk. In reality, I feel it doesn't truly matter to me whether I end up staying as a human or not. If someone as gentle as Dom can be a vampire, then what is there to be afraid of? Despite what he says, I know he's not a monster. I understand now that unlife doesn't mean becoming a beast. I'm scared of losing myself, I'll admit, but I think, well, I'd be willing to take that risk. Because more than anything, I don't want you to be alone anymore. I want to be by your side, Dom, even if it means giving up everything else. Ashamed of my own cheesy words, however honest they are, I bow my head slightly. He's like, yes. Although I avoid looking at Dom's face, I get the sense that he's smiling. My heart leaps up again, and I barely resist the urge to bury my face against his shoulder. But when I look at him next, his features have darkened again, and his arms squeeze protectively around me. If you accept his offer, you have to make me a promise. Oh, what's that? The look in his eyes is so serious that I instinctively tense up a little. Don't accept the bite of anyone besides me. Don't let anyone else turn you. Otherwise, something might happen. Part of his words sound uncertain, but the hesitance in his voice makes me wonder if he's hiding something from me. Earlier this week, he was talking about something different in my blood. Could this be related to that? Bishop 2 mentioned the same thing. Strix, he called it. Promise me, Sasuke. Dom interrupts my thoughts with an urgent murmur, as if he's worried I might forget what he's saying. Right, of course, I promise. My reply seems to set Dom somewhat at ease, and his impatient gaze softens. Puzzled, I start to open my mouth to ask what's so important about accepting someone's bite. Oh. But at that moment, Dom presses his face towards mine. Kissy face. It takes me a second to realize that his cool, soft lips are smashed against my own. But it takes even less time for me to realize that I don't mind, not one bit. Sorry, I'll stop doing that. I curl my arms around Dom, pressing back tenderly into the kiss. He pulls me down against him with an overwhelming rush of passion. Everything about you drives me wild. Your scent, your kindness, your pretty face, all of it. Dom breathes those low words against my skin, quickly sealing my lips again with another fierce, hungry kiss. His tongue insistently presses its way forward, and I let it tease inside of my mouth, sliding along my own. There's a sweetly smoky taste on his breath, tingling my senses delightfully as our tongues dance and twirl together. Dom. I let out a soft whimper, when his hand slips under my shirt, drifting across my skin. When he captures my bottom lip between his fangs and playfully nips it, a delicious tingle shoots down my spine, and I clutch onto him tighter. In those beautifully clear blue eyes, there's a heated glimmer that watches me longingly. If only that gaze was fixed on me forever. It will be. You're so warm, every inch of you. He purrs out with a mixture of awe and delight, his cool fingers tracing up and down my spine. They explore all the curves and dips of my body, teasing around my hips, slipping around to my chest. I told you I'd stop, so I'm gonna stop. I had to hold back that time, though. It was hard. Well, what good is body heat if there's no one to share it with? I close my eyes, drowning in the sweetness of his tongue, tracing the corners of my lips, while those large, gentle hands caress my entire figure. This rush of excitement, it's not just from physical stimulation. It's a deep and comforting warmth, as if every ounce of tension's gone from my body. I feel like I can entrust every part of myself to Dom, like I don't need to keep any secrets or hold anything back. Please stay with me, Sasuke. Dom whispers against my lips, his words so soft that I can barely hear them. But the pleading tremble in his voice makes my chest ache, and I nuzzle against his cheek affectionately. I will, Dom, no matter what happens. Aww. He heatedly kisses me again as soon as I reply, like he's desperate to seal my promise into an unbreakable bond. I squeeze my arms around his neck, wanting to reassure him that I don't plan on letting him go anytime soon. It's very sweet. Oh, and smacked my microphone again. The rest of the night becomes a blur after that, filled with so much passion that I can barely keep up. Finally, I drift off to sleep, intoxicated by Dom's scent and the comforting embrace of his arms. The only thought in my mind is a desperate hope for this to last forever. I imagine him waking up with just bite marks everywhere. Dom seems like the kind of person to just, like, boom, marked every inch of you. Who do you belong to? Me, that's right. Sorry, I made you look like I tried to eat you, but you're still mine. And a prayer that I'll be strong enough to make the right choice. Told you I'd stop. It's very hard. I roll over in my bed, trying to curl up against Dom. I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. He's not here? Yeah, well, maybe if you close your fucking curtains. When I sit up straight, I realize that sunlight's streaming faintly in through my apartment window. No sign of Dom, either. He must have left before dawn. Shit. The memories of last night flood back when an ache runs through my body. Ugh. He is a monster in some ways, I'll give him that. The sheets are gonna need to be changed. I'll do it later. I roll out of bed and put on some coffee before settling down to work, all while wearing a happily sleep-deprived smile. As I work on my latest commission, though, my mind keeps drifting between Dom and Bishop. The colors of my drawings grow steadily darker, like they're mirroring the uncertainty in my heart. I have to keep myself from adding grim shadows and moody lighting, otherwise this picture of a cute couple is gonna turn into a gothic metal album cover. Dude, I would totally send it in. Even as night draws close and I head out on my way to work, I keep nervously weighing Bishop's offer in my head. How the hell am I supposed to make a decision like this in one day? He gave me that ultimatum yesterday, so I guess he'll come seek me out tonight. The very thought sends shivers down my spine. Bishop isn't outright aggressive like Rex, but he's 10 times more unsettling and radiates that frigid, intimidating aura that makes it hard to think straight. Damn it. There's no easy way out of this, is there? No. Coffee? Sure, coming right up. I put on a forced grin as I take a customer's order. Sasuke sigh. When I start brewing a fresh pot, my mind flashes back to when Dom first came to this rundown place. The way he seemed so confused about what to do. I guess that happened if your diet doesn't normally include anything except blood, huh? I think that was the moment I really started to fall head over heels for him in his cute, quiet ways. Yeah, the awkwardness level was high, and you just couldn't help it. It's like, look at this puppy. I have to do it. I mutter unconsciously to myself as I pour the black liquid into an empty mug. I have to accept Bishop's offer. I won't leave Dom alone. My determination grows stronger and stronger as my shift continues, and by closing time, I feel grimly confident. Why is Dom not showing up, though? He usually always walks through the door right now. Did he get delayed? I lean against the counter to wait, drumming my fingers impatiently on the grimy surface. But as time goes on and there's no sign of Dom, a foreboding feeling sinks into my chest. Dom. Damn it, something must have happened to him. What if he's injured? Or what if he's trying to avoid me? That doesn't seem like him, but... The warehouse. If he's not here, then that's the only other place he could be. Grabbing my keys, I rush out of the diner, only barely remembering to lock the door behind me. I dash down the empty street, tearing my way towards the warehouse as fast as I can. Please be alright. Please be alright. Repeating those words like a prayer, I run down the dark alleys as a cold sweat breaks out on my back. Finally, I arrive at the warehouse and frantically tear inside. Dom! Dom, are you... Sasuke. Sasuke. They fucking kicked my ass. Bishop showed up and was like, sit, boy. And I was like, fuck, I can't not. A pained voice calls out to me, and I freeze in my tracks. Ah, you're late. I'm glad that you could make it regardless. Yeah, we already know it's you, Bishop. You don't gotta be all mysterious. Bishop steps from the shadows, approaching me with long, purposeful steps. Bishop? Why are you... What's happening? Two large, heavily built men are holding Dom in place, grasping onto his arms. He struggles in their grip, but even his powerful physique is no match for two vampires. Their fanged grins give that much away. I believe I explained this already, but our beloved Dominic here was, very knowingly, breaking the rules of our coven by playing around with a mortal. He was evidently planning to escape with you tonight, despite being fully aware of the agreement we discussed. Bishop grasped my chin with a cold hand, forcing me to turn away from Dom and look up at him instead. You didn't think I'd let him get away without proper punishment, did you? No, please. I'll do whatever you want, just let him go. I stare pleadingly into those blood-red eyes, trying to fight off the crushing aura that surrounds Bishop. Is that so? Well, I might be persuaded to release him. His voice drops a little, taking on a hint of a provocative growl. Provided you accept my offer, and let me be the one to turn you. Dominic's like, oh, bitch. Dominic seems to catch Bishop's low words, and he starts to struggle even harder, gritting his teeth together furiously. No, Sasuke, don't listen to him. You can't. You'll turn into... One of the men holding Dom abruptly kicks his stomach, causing his words to turn into a gasp of pain. Don't interrupt, Dominic. I thought I taught you better manners than that. This is a matter between myself and our lovely Sasuke here, and I believe you forfeited your right to have a say in the matter. After scolding Dom in a quiet, taunting voice, Bishop turns back to me, waiting for my answer with an expectant smirk. I can't trust him. I did that one before. This one was not here before, so boom. It's impossible. There's no way that Bishop will let Dom go, even if I do let him turn me. And more than anything, if Dom says I shouldn't give in, then I trust him. If nothing else, I'd like to hold Dom one last time. This might be the end, but if they kill us together, I think I'd be able to endure that. Dom. Ooh, I'm running. Breaking away from a startled Bishop, I rush towards Dom as fast as my legs will take me. He's like, what are you doing? Dom's eyes widen when he sees me run up to him, and the vampires guarding him blink in surprise as well. I take a deep breath, getting ready to throw myself at him for a last embrace. When suddenly my feet lift off the ground. Dom is... I'm being carried? What are you fools doing? Get them! Yeah, you stupid distracted bitches. Bishop's angry hiss jolts me back to my senses. Dom has me in his arms, and he's dashing towards the warehouse exit. Dom, you... With a sudden burst of strength, he must have thrown off the guards in their moment of shock. I hear their hurried footsteps rushing behind us, and I cling tightly onto Dom as he sprints up the stairs. Where are you going? Dom! He keeps running up more and more flights, racing towards the building's roof. It isn't long before we burst outside, and Dom brings us all the way to the edge of the rooftop. Dom! Don't jump, you idiot. We'll... Just trust me. Like you did back there. He's so cute. For a split second, Dom smiles down at me, an incredibly gentle look welling up in his clear blue gaze. Somehow that confident smile melts away every fear I have. I trust him. More than anything. As Dom readies himself to jump to a faraway roof, I close my eyes and hold on to him as tightly as I can. Did we get away? Take this man, wedded husband. I do. If I strain my ears, I can hear happy voices not far in the distance. A tall man in a suit and a slender lady in a white dress stand side by side before a priest. Oh, we made it. I can't believe they decided to hold their wedding at night. It's almost as if they knew, huh? Whispering excitedly, I elbow the man crouching beside me, who offers a little smirk. My brother always liked the night. Guess it runs in the family. Dom reaches out to gently press his forehead against my own, chuckling under his breath. Back in San Francisco, Dom and I somehow managed to escape Bishop and his men. Dom pulled off some stunts that were way too close for comfort, leaping from roof to roof, making impossible jumps that nearly gave me a heart attack. We were almost caught several times, but as soon as we got to the nearest bus station, we fled the city as fast as we could. To get as far away from San Fran as possible, we headed east, doing bits of work here and there to make ends meet. A vampire's strength can really be a valuable asset for heavy lifting jobs, let me tell you. When I remembered that Dom's brother was going to be married soon, I convinced him we should try and visit. It took a while to reassure him we'd stay hidden, but he finally gave in, much to my satisfaction. And now I can tell how happy he is that we actually came. Even if his brother doesn't know he's here or even alive, I think Dom just wants to watch over him, to see him off into being a true adult. He's all grown up now. 10 years makes a hell of a difference. I just wish I could shake his hand. Dom murmurs to me with a wistful smile, but there's only a little sadness in his voice. I stroke a hand through his feathery hair, letting out a soft sigh. Maybe you can, one day. Maybe you won't have to hide away from the world, one day. Dom hasn't turned me yet, saying he thinks I need more time before I decide to seal my life away forever. I'm grateful for it too. It's a heavy curse to bear, and he doesn't want me to end up doing something I'll eternally regret. But I think he'll end up saying yes. After all, I don't think I could bear the thought of facing death and leaving this adorably gloomy man all alone. I now pronounce you man and wife. The priest's announcement rings out in the gardens, followed by enthusiastic cheers. Well, should I try and catch the bouquet? I'll be expecting a giant diamond ring from you, so be prepared. You're pretty needy for a guy who is working in a diner. Geez, how rude. Dom leans in to press a little kiss onto my pouting lips. For a moment, I glimpse a look of pure, gentle contentment in his eyes, and all the lingering shadows on his face are completely lifted. Hey, Sasuke? Yeah? Thanks. Huh? For what? Letting out a little chuckle, Dom shakes his head, gazing down affectionately into my eyes. Don't worry about it. Man, after all this time, I can still barely read him. But I guess that's just part of his charm, stoic bastard that he is. I curl against Dom's side while we watch the joyful reception, eventually letting my eyes drift closed. In our shared silence, there's a warm, comforting sense of togetherness, like we're one body, one soul, rather than two. And for all the world, that might as well be the case, since back in San Francisco, I promised Dom that I wouldn't leave his side, no matter what. And I'll be damned if I ever go back on that promise. We got the good end, yes! Yeah, this is a much longer video, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing the happy ending for Dominic and my girlish screeches of joy and the weird noises I had to stop making because I know that it was probably getting a little ridiculous. I couldn't help myself. So I think next time we play, we'll do Isaac, since he was it's technically not the second one we met. The little one, Luca, was, but we'll do Isaac next, just because I want to see how far his sauce goes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys liked the good ending, because I did. I'm so happy for my boy. It makes me very, very happy that he's happy. I just can't help it. He's the gloomy little puppy, and I love him to bits. He's definitely my favorite, Dominic. Yeah, I love you guys very much. Yeah, also, I have an awesome shout out that I would like to do, and it's to my husband, because he started some really awesome channel recently here on YouTube, where he's crafting like D&D, like houses and towers and stuff like that, and I think that you guys should just go check it out, because I think that you'd really enjoy it, especially if you enjoy role-playing and tabletop gaming, D&D, or anything like it, really. Yeah, just give it a look-see and see what you think, because I really enjoy it, and it makes me very happy to see him doing something like this. So yeah, I'm really excited for him, and I'm very proud of him. So yeah, I love you guys very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!